And good morning and welcome to VSA Capital 5-Minute Morning Miner, although today it could turn out to be a 10-minute morning miner because I think there's an awful lot of news. But Paul, morning, how are you?
Good morning. Yeah, it could be even 15, 20 minutes. Who knows?
No, we won't go that long. I promise we'll try and keep it down to 20 minutes. Obviously, if there's things we'll have to rattle through a few things. If there's things that people want to talk about in more detail, they can come back. Now, look, we obviously got a couple of majors coming out. We've got some small ones coming out. And we've also got sort of news and stuff going on in lithium in China, which is quite interesting. Why don't we actually I'm going to start off, Paul, or you can start off, but with one of my favourite stocks. We got to start with a favourite today. EQ Resources. Fill us in with that one, Paul.
Yeah, so we had they came out with a statement on Monday, actually, that their Soloro operations, they're going to add additional XRT sorting capacity for ore sorting in order to boost the production rate by 50%. That would be a third ore sorter to be installed, and also finalizing detailed engineering work for that sorter, as well as a modified feed station, as well as some adjustments to the existing two ore sorters. The whole point is they've been accelerating the amount of tungsten concentrates up to 33,000 MTU units were produced up to the end of in the quarter of Q4 of 2024, and they want to keep accelerating that, but they also want to make sure that they're maintaining the quality such that they don't end up with any penalties because of improper grade or insufficient grade for the proper pricing. So that's the whole point behind this. More production and to make better margins.
Yeah, look, I think one of the other things about EQ is, and one of the reasons we keep talking about it, is there's just an awful lot going on at this business that is all really good news. Also catching the attention of people who actually want physical tungsten, if you see what I mean. And actually, it wasn't just the news you've just seen. There's also an announcement out where they've just become a member of the U.S. Defense Industrial Base Consortium. Which I think, again, sort of shows the long-term direction for this company. They are the lead tungsten player in the West for any US investment to ensure a supply of tungsten, which obviously you need for military purposes. So there's a lot going on. Anyway, there's enough on EQ. So we've got lots to talk about, so let's keep going. Look, there's two big ones out today, I think, Paul, Antofagasta and is it actually Glencore? Anyway, talk us through Glencore.
Yeah, Glencore's had 4 press releases out. I'll just briefly mention those here, including their full year results. They declared a final dividend of 10 cents a share. They will hold their AGM on the 28th of May. They also announced a $1 billion share buyback program, which begins immediately and is intended to be completed by August the 6th. They appointed a new non-executive director in Maria Margarita Zuleta, who is a lawyer and is a director of several different Colombian companies. And then in the full year, finances revenue rose by 6% to $231 billion, but the corporation turned to a net loss of $1.6 billion. That, in large part, is a result of a substantial increase in net debt to $11.2 billion, where it was $4.9 billion last year. And to remember that this is in part due to the capital expenditures that the majors are doing in expansions on existing copper projects or other projects, and Glencore is not otherwise exempt from that. Otherwise, funds from operations, $10.5 billion, up 11%. And otherwise, liquidity stayed at $11.5 billion. And they had free cash flow generation of $4.8 billion. So it's a mixed bag of results there for Glencore.
Yeah, actually, Antofagasta was yesterday because I wasn't doing it yesterday. I've got myself confused. So we'll skip over that one. Tell you what I wanted you to just mention, Paul, because it sort of caught my eye a little bit. but it looks as though it's a TSX stock. Tinka Resources has been suspended and may, well, basically, unfortunately, fold. But it's quite a good project, isn't it? Somebody should be buying it, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they should be. Tinka, I wouldn't say it's going to fold, but given the quality of the asset they have in the zinc and tin resource at Ayahuasca there in Peru, but somebody's going to come in there and buy it or otherwise joint venture it or some such way. They suspended a current fundraising program. It would appear that that isn't going well, and they've instituted a strategic review. Despite the exploration success they've had at Ayahuasca over the last 4 years, their share price has been consistently sliding over the same period, such that they're at a 30 million market cap now, Canadian. But this is in my view, a world-class resource. So, and there is also separate silver lode mineralization on the same property. In a separate deposit to this one, and the tin lode lies underneath the zinc deposit. So somebody's going to come in on this one, I'm sure, when they can make proper terms, I think, with management.
It's outside their jurisdiction, but it sounds like the sort of thing that maybe a Camel should have a look at, because obviously they've got lead and zinc at their Sasa mine in Macedonia. But maybe that's me just flying a kite, completely unnecessary. Now, just quick one. I don't mind doing this, but Caledonia Mining today, which is one that we talk about quite a lot, they've appointed a new CFO, Ross Gerard. He looks as though he has reasonably good credentials, so that's good news for Caledonia Mining. They've got a good person in there. What else in terms of companies do you want to talk about, Paul? And then we'll maybe end up on lithium and what's going on in China.
Yeah, we wanted to mention here Wheaton Precious Metals, which is also quoted in London, 2024 production results of over 633,000 gold equivalent ounces, which is above the upper end of their production guidance range that they had at 620,000. And 2025, they've stayed in this same range for this year, but they definitely are still talking up the multi-year outlook for their portfolio, where they're targeting 870,000 gold equivalent ounces by 2029. So they will release their full fourth quarter and full year results on March the 13th. Also wanted to mention the Malawi Graphite and Rutile developer and dual quoted Sovereign Metals. Their Kasaya rutile graphite project, the MET testing has shown that that graphite is more than suitable for the refractory market for graphite as well, and that's the second largest market for graphite in the marketplace, and that is specifically for large flake graphite can be used there. So it should have awfully low production costs as well on that graphite.
Okay. Right. Let's also then. So I think it's worth debating a little bit, Paul, because what's happening in China? Because, and I'm going to pronounce this completely wrong. What we're hearing is a lot about is what Jingsha Shui Jui. I can't say it. High tech, basically, which is an important part for any brine user, and you're going to talk this better. They need this filtration equipment known as a sorbent, don't they? And they're basically going to stop allowing it to be exported. Is that correct, Paul?
This specific company had announced, and it's called Jiangsu Jiwu, and it specifically announced that they had halted the shipment of their sorbent equipment to the West, and that's on the back of the announcement back in January by the authorities that they would not share or did not intend to share technology with the West as part of sanctions against the United States and others. And because of this, these sorbents, the Chinese have the expertise on both the equipment and the sorbents themselves as far as the extraction of lithium from concentrated brines. So whether or not that feeds through to the rest of the companies across China, which have also Western projects, is yet to be decided at this point, but it would definitely slow down the pace that the West would be trying to get in the technology side for extraction of lithium, and would continue to keep the West more vulnerable or otherwise dependent for longer on Chinese supply for the EV rollout.
Look, it's a story we're going to have to keep an eye on. Interesting enough, I've just finished recording. We'll be releasing the next few days a video blog with Winsome Resources, which is actually a hard rock lithium, one of the largest in North America, which is the project's in Canada. It's actually listed on the ASX. They've just done a fundraise, actually. So, I mean, do watch out for that video. But obviously, for someone like that, being based in North America, being hard rock, not needing this technology, it's quite a good advantage for them. And whilst we're just talking about Canada, because we need to wrap up soon, Paul, just next week, obviously, we're all heading off to PDAC at the end of next week. Just point out to bring your woolly hat and gloves, Paul. It's going to be absolutely bloody freezing, and hope the plane doesn't flip over when we land.
Yes, that's right.
All right. I'll speak to you again tomorrow, Paul. Thanks.
Very good.
This podcast has been produced and edited by VSA Capital. It is intended for information purposes and not as investment advice. The information is intended for recipients who understand the risks associated with equity investments in smaller companies. Please do your own research and do not rely on a single source when making an investment decision. VSA Capital may derive fees from this content and seeks to do business with the companies mentioned.